They say the truth sets you free, but I swear that morning, it shackled me tighter than any lie ever could. It started with a text. Not from her. She hadn't messaged me since I left for that conference 2 days ago, but from a friend of mine. One of those, "I don't know if I should be telling you this" kind of messages. Attached was a photo, blurry but unmistakable. My wife, Alyssa, sitting in a café not far from our home, face alight in a way I hadn't seen in years, her hand lightly resting on the wrist of the man across from her. I recognized him immediately. Colin. Her ex. The same Colin who had been a ghost in our marriage since year one. The one she swore she was. So over. Every time I caught his name in the random shuffle of her Spotify playlists. I didn't even reply to my friend. I just got in my car. Now, I wasn't about to storm in like some soap opera husband ready to flip a table. I parked across the street, watched from a distance, hoping, desperately hoping, that maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But it was. They were laughing. Leaning in too close. That look she gave him, eyes soft, full of some memory that didn't include me, cut deeper than any knife. I couldn't look away, even when he reached across the table and tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. That tiny, intimate gesture said everything. She didn't pull back. She didn't flinch. She smiled. It took me a full minute to start breathing again. I stayed in the car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, until my pulse stopped screaming in my ears. Then I turned the key and drove off, trying to piece together how we'd gotten here. Alyssa and I had been married for 7 years. High school sweethearts, who somehow made it work through college, careers, and everything in between. Or so I thought. The cracks had started showing maybe a year ago, subtle at first. She was always tired, always stressed, and I was always working too much. We were like two roommates shuffling past each other in the same house, smiling for the neighbors, pretending it was all fine. I had chalked it up to a rough patch. But now I wondered how long it had really been broken, and how many cups of coffee she'd shared with Colin before today. Later that evening, when she came home, I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Not yet. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong, asked how the conference went, made a show of checking on dinner. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. I watched her from across the kitchen, wondering what kind of person it takes to lie so seamlessly. To come home from someone else's touch and pretend like everything's still intact. I didn't confront her that night. Instead, I lay beside her in bed, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, trying to decide if it was even worth fighting for something she had already left behind. If not in body, then certainly in spirit. I didn't sleep at all. And the next morning, I made a choice. I didn't go to work the next morning. I couldn't. Instead, I waited until she left, watched her from the living room window as she got into her car, same calm smile on her face, like nothing had cracked between us. I wasn't even sure where she was going anymore. She said she was meeting a client, but all I saw was that cafe in my mind. I had already printed the photo. It sat in a drawer by my nightstand, next to our wedding album. That cruel contrast. Her hand in Colin's, just inches from a picture of us cutting our cake, her eyes gleaming like I was the only man she'd ever love. When she came home later, I was waiting. "Hey," she said, hanging her purse by the door. "You're home early." "Didn't go in," I said. My voice was level, colder than I expected. "I've been thinking." She paused, halfway through kicking off her shoes. "About what?" I took a deep breath. "About Colin." The moment the name left my lips, I saw it. Her whole face tightened. Barely perceptible, but enough. She didn't ask, "Who?" or, "What about him?" She knew exactly what I meant. "You were with him yesterday," I said. At Leighton Cafe. Around noon. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. It wasn't. Don't lie, I interrupted. I reached into the drawer, pulled out the photo, and laid it on the table. She stared at it. I watched her shoulders fall. The facade broke like glass. How long? I asked. 3 weeks, she whispered. We ran into each other by accident. It wasn't planned, but it kept happening. She nodded, eyes glassy. Did you sleep with him? She didn't answer, and that silence was louder than a confession. My chest clenched, like every breath I'd ever taken with her had just turned into smoke. I didn't plan this, she said. It reminded me of who I used to be. Before we were married. Before everything got so predictable. I wanted to scream. Predictable? That was her reason? I gave her everything: time, patience, love. And she traded that for coffee and nostalgia. Do you want to be with him? I asked. Her mouth opened to say something, but she stopped herself. That hesitation cut me deeper than if she'd just said yes. That's enough, I said quietly. I stood up, went to the bedroom, and came back with the bag I had packed that morning. Just a few essentials. I didn't want to stay in a house that echoed with her lies. Where are you going? She asked, panic slipping into her voice. Somewhere I can breathe. Don't call me. She tried to follow me to the door, but I turned. You had every chance to be honest, Alyssa. You chose a lie. You chose him. In a damn cafe of all places. You think that's something I can just move past? I left her standing there in the entryway, barefoot and speechless. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to clarity. I spent the next week at a friend's guest house. Quiet, clean, empty. But not the kind of empty that hollows you out. The kind that makes room. Room to feel the pain. Room to remember who I was before I became her safety net. Room to let go. It's been 3 months since then. The divorce is in motion. We talk only through lawyers now. Sometimes I drive past that cafe. Not to torture myself, but to remind myself. That's where she ended us. But it's also where I began again.